We are live. Welcome to Primetime, everybody. This is episode 12, I believe. It might be 12 or it might be 13, one of the two. But welcome to episode 12 of Welcome to Primetime. And tonight we are talking season 1 and 2 of Stranger Things, getting ready for the new season, which we'll talk about next week, along with season 3 and season 4, the current season. I'm your host, Hunter Chambliss. I'm joined by my co-host, Chad and Kerri. How's it going, guys?
It's going great, but I'm actually a little disappointed this isn't episode 11.
We should have tied that in correctly. Man. Kerri, how you doing?
I'm doing great.
I also should have prepared some Eggos.
Yeah.
For the
Same.
opportunity. Next time.
Not gonna lie, the 8,000 calorie dessert Eggos looks insane, but I want to try it so bad.
I know.
My God. Don't die.
It's like candy. It's like Eggos, candy, syrup, whipped cream. Hopper just goes off on that, man.
That's true.
That's what happened.
Oh, I think they are frozen, ladies and gentlemen. And might just be me. All right, so we're going to wait for them to come back. But yeah, guys, we are talking about Stranger Things season 1 and season 2. We're breaking these up into different sections because we did all 4 seasons. That would take a very long time. But we do have a few new stories for you guys that I will take over for the first one. This comes from bloodydisgusting.com. Love those guys over there. Great pieces. There is a horror movie coming out based around Winnie the Pooh. Yes. We'll go ahead and solo myself, and then we'll wait for them to come back. But yes, Winnie the Pooh, the beloved Disney character, is getting... Ooh, there they are. What the hell? That is weird.
Oh, no.
There we go. Hi. Technical issues. You gotta love it.
Sorry about that.
Sorry, our internet keeps out weirdly.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm not sure if it's me this time, or if it was you guys. But yeah, I was going on the Pooh Blood and Honey news story since I just got through with the opening.
Okay.
So yes, guys, a horror movie based on Winnie the Pooh is coming out. It's called Pooh Blood and Honey. It's from bloodydisgusting.com, and it states strange things can start to happen when beloved characters slip into public domain. And the upcoming horror movie, Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, sure is a testament to that. The upcoming horror movie, which of course not related to Disney in any way, shape, or form, turns the yellow teddy bear into a monstrous murderer. How is this even allowed, you ask? Well, the classic story entered public domain at the start of the year, which means which means anyone and everyone is now free to do with Pooh as they wish. I'm going to butcher this name. I apologize. Ray's Frank Waterfield directed Pooh Blood and Honey. Dread Central discovered this week, and several first-look images suggest a dark and twisted version. No plot details are available at this time, but it looks like the movie centers on a serial killer wearing a Winnie the Pooh mask, or maybe it's actually a man-bear hybrid. A twisted version of Piglet also appears in these first-look images, so expect a full-on perversion of the classic tale. Sure, why not? I have technical issues as well. Let's do it. Of the classic tale, this one comes courtesy of Jagged Edge Productions, releasing sometime this year. The upcoming IMDb page only notes that it's a horror retelling of the famous legend of the Winnie the Pooh, and you better believe we're keeping our eyes on this one. So, guys, thoughts on this upcoming Pooh Blood and Honey movie?
I don't really have strong thoughts either way. I think it's kind of an interesting concept. It'll be interesting, though, since this is kind of it seems like an independent movie, not studio funded. As of yet, it'll be interesting to see how it turns out, I think.
I think this is like one of those where it could potentially be like a just because you can doesn't mean you should. But I don't know. I mean, it could be really cool, but then on the other hand, I'm also like, exactly. Why do this whole like perversion of a classic children's thing like that? Like, I don't know. I think maybe if it was like we're doing evil, like like going back to the grim Hansel and Gretel, and like making like an evil Hansel and Gretel, like not for kids kind of thing. Maybe that might be interesting. But like Pooh Bear, like okay. That's almost like thinking about like them doing like an evil Paddington or something. That'd be like so.
Yes.
I don't want that at all. Like I
Yes.
love Paddington and Winnie the Pooh the way they are, but some people will really enjoy this. We'll probably watch it and see how we feel.
Yeah, I heard the news at first and I was like, this has to be a joke. And then I looked at the trailer online. Nope, it is not a joke. It is real.
Thought the same
and
thing out.
I am I'm not gonna lie, I'm so excited for this movie, you guys. Okay. I don't know why. It's that twisted part of my brain that's like, what are they gonna do with a murderous Pooh Bear? And I'm very because like I can't bring up the images on here because for some reason my internet would just crap out. But there are images that shows like Pooh and Piglet like outside a girl's house, her pool. I'm just like, okay, yep, I'm in it. I'm like this is like 80s slasher with Pooh Bear, and I'm all for it.
Just looking for
and then I believe Kerri also had another one that she wanted to bring up.
Yeah, so I think the news released this week that Christopher Landon is going to be directing an Arachnophobia remake, also produced by Steven Spielberg.
Oh, creepy.
So I'm excited for this. I think we've all really loved Christopher Landon's films to date, the Happy Death Day series and Freaky. So I'm really excited. Honestly, they could have announced he was directing any horror movie. I would have been totally excited about it, but this is very cool.
Chad?
Yeah, I really like Arachnophobia. I think it was like produced in part by Steven Spielberg. It really feels like a Steven Spielberg film. Like we watched this one, like it really feels like one of those classic kind of like Indiana Jones gone horror a little bit because it like takes place partially like in the jungle and stuff like that. And it's really creepy. I mean, everyone's scared. Well, not everyone, but a lot of people are scared of spiders. Arachnophobia is like one of the most common phobias, I think. And I don't know. I really think with kind of like a modern sense of filmmaking, you can really make this terrifying and get under people's skin. So I'm interested, but also kind of nervous about this one because I'm very scared of spiders.
Yeah, hearing that Christopher Landon is directing this movie really gets me excited because he's 3 for 3 with me. Actually, 4 for 4 because I really enjoyed Final Destination 4 that he directed as well.
Ooh.
Wow, he did 4?
That's the
worst
bad one.
He did 3 or 4. It's the one that had. Hold on, I gotta look this one up real quick.
Did it have Mary Elizabeth Winstead in it?
That's Final Destination. Did I say Final Destination?
Movie.
Wait, what am I thinking of?
I said Paranormal Activity, right?
Oh, I thought you said
Final Destination.
Yeah.
I probably did.
I haven't seen past the first Paranormal Activity, I don't think. So.
I've only seen the first 3, but we have the box set. We really do need to sit down and watch them.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I really... Yeah, so yeah, he did Paranormal Activity 4 also with Catherine Newton from Freaky as well in the lead of that one. Yeah, so I really enjoyed that movie. I love Freaky. I think Freaky is a really good twist on like a Freaky Friday. Or as some people said, the Hot Chick, and I totally agree, a horror version of the Hot Chick. Because it's like high school body.
A man switching with a teenage girl.
I like the Hot Chick more than I like Freaky, but I think it's a generational thing. honestly, because Freaky I didn't really love, but I do love the Happy Death Days for sure.
And yeah, the Happy Death Days are fantastic. So pretty much like anything from him, I'm gonna be super excited for, and the fact that Spielberg is back to produce it just shows that.
Ooh, okay.
I mean, yes, it's a producer role, but you know that Spielberg's gonna have a lot of, like a lot of say in what happens on set, on script, things like that. So that gets me super excited.
Yeah.
Okay, I
I
believe.
think it's good.
Oh, go ahead.
That's all I was gonna say.
Okay, well, if you guys are ready, we can get to the main topic today: Stranger Things
Yes.
season 1 and season 2. So, just a little background: season 1 first premiered on Netflix on July 15th, 2016. God, that was so long ago. And it consists of 8 episodes. The first episode is called The Vanishing of Will Byers, and the finale is called The Upside Down. So, guys, let's just get our overall first thoughts. I think they're frozen once again. So, while they are frozen, let's go ahead and read what the Stranger Things Wiki has to say. Set in the fictional town of Hawkins, Indiana in 1983, the season is about the disappearance. Oh, you guys okay?
I think so.
I think something's wrong with Chad's computer and the Wi-Fi.
Continue.
Sorry.
So set in the fictional town of Hawkins, Indiana in 1983, this season is about the disappearance of Will Byers and the ensuing search for him by family, friends, and the local authorities. Imagined by its creators as an 8-hour blockbuster film that was inspired by and paid homage to classic genre films of the 80s, in particular the films of Steven Spielberg and John Carpenter, as well as novels of Stephen King. The season received critical and audience acclaim and was praised for its directing, acting performances, title sequence, and Sith-heavy score. So let's go ahead and give our first thoughts on, like, in season 1 of Stranger Things, and then we can go into more spoiler topics, what we loved, what could have worked better, etc. So you guys can start if you want.
Sure. I'll start. When this premiered, Chad watched it first. I'm not sure how he found out about it, but Chad watched it first and was like, "Oh, if you have time, this is really good." At the time, I was doing an internship in Washington, D.C., and it was taking me like an hour and a half to get to work each day. Like, I had to wake up really early. But I binged this over 2 nights and it's, 8 episodes, so 4 episodes a night. Even though I should not have been staying up as late as I was, I could not stop watching. I couldn't tear myself away. My overall thoughts are especially this first season of Stranger Things. It just started off so strongly. I think that's why it became such a phenomenon. And yeah, I mean, I think this first season is nearly perfect.
Chad?
Yeah. I mean, I heard about, I just remember seeing the trailers coming out, and I was like, ooh, the return of Winona Ryder. This is interesting because she hasn't really been in anything. And I was excited to see her most of all because I didn't know any of the other actors in it or anything like that. She was the only thing I could latch on to. And then I finally saw it, spread the word a little bit when this was first coming out. And then, it suddenly kind of blew up and became the Netflix's big premiere show. And it's always kind of been that way. Everyone loves Stranger Things who's seen it. It has just some of the best ambiance and just kind of choices that the Duffer Brothers made to make the font very 80s, Stephen King 80s kind of thing. It looks like the cover of a book, the Stranger Things thing. And then every single episode, when it shows the titles, it also has that similar font. I love the fact that in season 1, they start this out with, showing these kids, showing a lot of the people in the town, but mainly the kids playing D&D. You want to hang out with them. You kind of want to be their friend or see see them hang out because, maybe you kind of reminisce about being that young and hanging out, or if you're a kid, you just want to hang out with them. And then one of them disappears and it's a big mystery. And you go from there, and then you get the girl with like almost no hair, and then you're like, who is this? And suddenly she has like superpowers, and you're like, what is going on? It's a really good mystery with a lot of really great characters. I think Millie Bobby Brown is a damn star. She's gonna go on to bigger and better things once she's done with Stranger Things. And Yeah, I just love like everything about it. I love how it gives you that classic Steven Spielberg or Stephen King kind of vibe with the kids riding their bikes like in E.T. or It,
Yes.
and just stuff like that. And even the monsters are really great. The concept of the upside down is really, really cool. And that when they're going to talk to their teacher, I guess this is a little bit of more spoiler for.
That's fine. Oh, they're frozen again, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, a lot of technical issues here from me, from them. It does, but as long as we are here, let's just talk about what I think about season one. I love it. I love the mystery of it. I didn't come in to Stranger Things like. Oh, go ahead. You guys back?
We might keep cutting out, but let me finish my thought real quick. I was just, I don't know where I, but I was basically saying that like when they go to the teacher to try to figure out how to, figure out how to get into the upside down, it really gave me like Donnie Darko vibes and stuff like that, trying to figure out this like conundrum that they have, and it's very science fiction like, and it's just really cool. The monsters are very scary. It's just a really fun horror show that pretty much everyone can watch and not get like too scared. And yeah, it's great.
Yeah, so I was talking about how much I love season one to the point where for Christmas I bought this.
That's awesome.
Nice.
Yeah.
Season one VHS.
Wow, that is so cool.
That's really
neat.
Has
a poster in it. It's got "Friends Don't Lie" as the poster in there.
I love that quote. Yeah, that's a key quote. Yeah.
So like, the sleeve like an old VHS tape is amazing.
That is really cool.
I just wanted to show that off real quick. Pawn shop actually found it for like $20, I think.
Wow,
not bad at all. But yeah, I walked into Stranger Things not knowing what it was about at all. Like I didn't hear any hype about it. I went into Netflix, found it. It sounds interesting, flipped it on, and got hooked from episode 1. I love the aspect of mystery of it, because when you first watch it, you don't know what's happening. You don't know, if this kid actually did go missing or if there's a supernatural element to it. And then the characters just really bring it in for me, because it does remind me of like a Goonies or like an It, where you love all the characters individually for different reasons. Like I love Mike because of how strong he is. I love Dustin because of all the quips and how funny and goofy he is. Just all of these characters give something that is very different. And then you add in the adult characters, like Hopper is one of my favorite characters. I love the character of Hopper. I love how he starts off kind of this cold-hearted character, and as the seasons and as the episodes go on, you see a more light side to him. And then getting to kind of spoil stuff without getting the spoilers, but the stuff with his daughter and the stuff with his wife, and you find out what happened. It's just so. Sorry about that. My phone just went off. But the whole, mystery of it is like, that's what I love about it. That harkens back to, as you said, E.T., the big mystery of like, who is Elle? Who is 11? What powers does she have? And then in season 2, even more, you learn more about this, not only her, but the whole world surrounding her, which is great. Each season, it develops more and more of not only the characters, but more of the world surrounding it, which I can't wait to see what season 4 does. Um, Especially bringing in, horror icon Robert Englund to play the villain, which I'm so excited to see how he works against, the kids and everything like that. But this season 1 was the start of it, and I absolutely loved it because from episode 1 I was hooked all the way to episode 8.
Yeah.
All right. Do you guys want to go into more spoiler talk for season 1, particularly? Then we can do our season 2 review, and then we can do spoiler talks for that one as well.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So, what moment actually sticks out to you as the moment where you're like, I love this show? Is there a particular moment where it's like, this scene right here hooked me in more than any other has?
Like one moment, that's kind of hard. I do have like a couple that I could throw on, but I will say, like, I mean, first of all, the vanishing of Will Byers, just calling your episode that, and then Will just disappearing, because they make you like care about these kids, and then this one kid just disappears, and then the other ones are just freaking out. And I think like that's just a moment in episode 1 that is enough to hook you. But also just like them, Elle showing up and and then being pursued by people who are willing to kill to get to her is also pretty big deal. And then 11 actually meeting all the other kids, and just seeing her connection with Mike, I think is a really big moment too, because I feel like that relationship has grown quite a bit from season 1. And then, yeah, like you said, with Dustin, I think he's just a fantastic, really funny character. I think he's probably the smartest character in the show. He's just so good. Maybe him or another character in season 3 that comes up. And then the other thing, since we're in spoiler talk, when they find the body that's
Yes,
not Will, that's a moment where you go,
it's stuffed.
Okay, this show is officially insane, and I want to know what the hell's going to happen now. So,
yeah,
Kerri?
I really agree with that. I really love mysteries, so I would agree with Chad that like setting up the Will Byers disappearance. Once he like actually disappears, you don't know what's happened to him yet, where he is. That really hooked me. Along with, they set up 2 mysteries in that first episode. They set up, I think it's in the first episode. It's either in the first episode or the first 2. They set up 2 mysteries. They set up the disappearance of Will Byers, and then they also set up Elle. And you're like, what is this girl? Where did she come from? Why are these? Like, you get to the scene where Benny, the restaurant owner, is killed, and you're like, why is he being killed over this?
Yeah.
Chris Sullivan,
Yeah.
Toby from This Is Us.
So I say those were the moments as well that I think, the same as Chad, that's what really hooked me into this show.
There's one more thing I want to add, if I may.
Okay.
I remember watching, there's 2 things I noticed in this season that I was like, oh, this is a lot deeper and kind of like crazier than I remember, because I remember Hopper and his daughter. And I remember, like you were talking about, Hunter, is that part is actually really freaking emotional. I remember like him, telling Joyce later on to like breathe and stuff like that. And then it goes flashback to him telling his daughter to breathe. And then I'm like, I looked at Kerri, I'm like, I'm about to cry. It's just like, dude, this is getting to me.
That moment where all the sound and all the noise comes out, and you see the doctors running.
Yeah.
There we go. Yep. And you just see Hopper just sitting on the hospital floor.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Oof. It's just really good.
So like explicit about it, you know what's happening.
Just very, very good character development and and stuff like that with Hopper. It really made you like care for Hopper quite a bit. But yeah, the other crazy thing I wanted to add was I was like, if you kind of like frame this show in a different way, specifically with the stuff between Joyce and Jonathan Byers, when she's like, I know Will's still out there, and Jonathan's like, you're chasing this thing and we're all going to Will's funeral. I'm like, if you like put that into a context where there wasn't any supernatural stuff going on, then Joyce is insane and this is a very different show.
Yeah. But also that's what I love about it, is that for the longest time in season 1, you're not sure what's going on. You're not sure if it's supernatural or if it's cover up, or if maybe this is Joyce grieving and she's like, that's not my son. And you're not sure if she's right, if she's grieving or whatever. Like the acting level of Winona Ryder in this season, insane. She carries a lot of moments that most people cannot do. Oh, they're frozen again. But yeah, like her acting on point. The whole cast is amazing. And what I love, did you guys hear any of that?
No.
I was talking about the performances and how great Winona Ryder is and how much she carries a lot of emotional scenes, whether it's just her by herself talking to a wall, and you're just like, oh my God, I'm invested in these lights and what they mean. Or when she's acting off of somebody like Jonathan or like Mike or Lucas or whoever that she's working off against, she brings her A game to a different level, especially in this season.
Yeah. And kind of speaking of a little bit of like her talking to the wall, stuff like that, I love how they do like a use of music in Stranger Things, and this will play again like even stronger a lot later in seasons. But like the should I stay or should I go from the Clash, that became like kind of the anthem of the show a little bit. Like this is the only thing, spoilers, that Will, when he's suffering in the Upside Down, can hold on to is the connections with his brother and the songs his brother taught him. It makes him feel at home. I just love stuff like that when you have great music play important key roles in shows, movies.
Yeah, that's something that Edgar Wright does really well. He uses music, and the music feels like a character. And that's what this show does. Every song choice, it feels like it's not just to play 80s music because it's an 80s show. It's tying in something, which I love.
Yeah. They use music in like season 3 and season 4 especially, I remember like so well. But so it's just like like you were saying, a lot of the 80s references. It's not just kind of like like an MCU like kind of throwaway thing or something like that. But like they use it as like really key stuff, like especially like when well, we're not moving on to season 2 yet, but when they dress up as Ghostbusters, like,
yes,
no one else dressed up. What? We're nerds. And then make fun of them.
Well, I think one of the best uses in season 1 of music, besides the should I stay or should I go part, is when the kids think that Will is dead, they're kind of pulling what is supposed to be his body out of the lake, and they play Heroes by David Bowie, and it's so emotional and sad. And I think they reuse that, later on.
They reuse Heroes later on, but it's the Peter Gabriel version
in a different season that we're not covering today.
Also, a very, very good version of that song. It's such a great song. I love how they use that in Perks of Being a Wallflower too.
And then just the score in general and the theme song, so 80s without like hitting you over the head with it. Just like, I think just perfect. And kind of not just 80s, but kind of a horror 80s vibe with it.
It's got a lot of mystery to that theme song.
Yeah.
It's and you're like, what's going on?
Yeah.
Almost feels kind of like X-Files, like
Exactly. So going back to the cast a little bit, there is something that I want to bring up that I didn't realize until I watched an interview. So the girl who plays Carol in this show, she is friends with Steve. She's the girlfriend of one of Steve's friends, Redhead. So she actually plays a small role in Dr. Sleep as well, Chelsea Tamlich.
Okay.
She was the girl that Danny is with at the very beginning of the movie that he leaves to die. That's her.
Oh,
gotcha. Interesting.
The girl with the kid?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so, thinking about, like, that this show takes influences from, Stephen King books, things like that, and then one of the actresses goes on to play in something based off of Stephen King.
Yeah,
novel.
I mean,
great.
And you even have Finn Wolfhard is in it, so
is it as well? Yeah,
a lot of connections like that. Yeah.
So let's see. Let me get to the actual episodes. One of the scenes that actually made me feel more connected to all the kid characters was actually, I believe it's in the episode The Monster, when Dustin and Mike are getting bullied and they're on the mountain, and all of a sudden Elle comes in and she like breaks the arm of the one kid. You're just like, yes, like fuck you, dude. And then she stops Mike from falling, and then all of a sudden like they all just group hug together. That's the moment that they actually bond, like all of them, like Lucas, all of them, they bond in that one moment.
I keep forgetting about that too. That was like a whole thing when 11 came in, and like Lucas,
Lucas did not like Elle,
not like her, and then like he has to basically come around, and I just think that was like a really cool just character moment where she's the Yoko Ono. She's coming and she's disrupting the band. They're all friends. I mean. And even when Will comes back, he has a lot. Will comes back. He has a lot of issues later on with this kind of dynamic thing. Keeps factoring in later in the show as well. But
and also,
and then when they
season 2, in season 2 with Mike not liking Max, that actually has a good parallel to Lucas not liking Elle because.
And then 11 not liking Max.
And then 11 not liking Max. You're just like, can everyone just get along, please?
But I love when Lucas finally comes around and you get to see that like he was just concerned for his friends, and just they all care for each other so much that even like this little girl who seems like she doesn't have anyone in the world and doesn't, all they see is this weird superpower girl who's dangerous, and it's just a lot of really cool dynamics in the show, and I love how they come together at the end. Sweet.
Yeah, there was a real funny line from Dustin when after Elle pushes Lucas and knocks him out, he goes, "But come on, it was cool, right? Come on, that was cool." Dustin is like so convinced that Elle is like Magneto. And Professor X, like, that's amazing.
That's the one thing about Dustin that I love is that like when something's cool, he'll admit it. He'll go like, "That was pretty badass though." And he's like the biggest kind of like unapologetically like a nerd, which plays a lot in season 3. It's like one of my favorite scenes in season 3.
Oh my god, I know what you're talking about. I can't wait to talk about it. I love that scene so much.
Okay.
So what else should we talk about for season 1? I love the reveal, as you guys said, in the body, where you realize that that's not Will's body and it's just stuff, and you're just like, what is going on with this government, man?
Yeah, that just seems like some sort of like crazy, like, you know, invasion of the body snatchers or something Stephen King would write in one of his books. And, you know, so that's just a lot of like these really cool twists that happen that really hook you in. But yeah, just like the whole thing too with the actual Department of Energy and that whole story about how they're trying to, like, what is like the stuff we haven't even talked about, like the Russians, like the stuff with the Russians and like trying to make 11 into like the superhero that would like battle, what is it, the battle the Russians or
All the
like
Russians.
assassinate the Russians, spy on the Russians.
Yeah.
It's
More
just
like that.
really
The Russian stuff actually comes in a lot more in season 3 and season 4. Like season 3, it feels like.
Yeah,
They really
for
Yeah.
are pushing that. I will say season 3 might be my favorite. And
season 3 is up there for me for sure.
and I'll explain why when we actually get there. But I don't hate any season of Stranger Things. That's the thing. I can rewatch them and be like, I love this show just because the characters make me feel like I can be friends with them. You know,
Yeah.
there's something in all of them that make me want to like be friends with them.
Yeah, there's one episode that I don't like. Other than that,
probably the one ever is widely people don't like.
Other than that, every other episode I absolutely adore. And I
this
think
season
at the
next
season, but the end of season 2 is one of my favorite endings of a season of TV ever.
Yeah,
because it's adorable.
It's very sweet.
So, if you don't mind me asking, which episode in season 2 is your least favorite?
I can't remember what it's called, but it's when 11 goes to visit her sister, number 8.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, where it's set outside of Hawkins.
Yeah, because it's like, I don't know. It's like one of those episodes that it takes 11 away from everyone else. And I know like later in later seasons that also happens, but this is only what this episode is about, is 11 going to, I think, Chicago and trying to find her sister. And then they're trying to like kind of train her like they're Yoda or something. And she's Luke and she like combs her hair back. She slicks it back. And then it's just a weird episode. I think the acting is like kind of bad with the gang that they have there. And it just really doesn't like amount to anything later in the show at all. We don't see those characters again. And I think they were probably trying to set something else up. But because of go ahead, Kerri, I know you want to say this.
Because of the negative backlash to this episode specifically, I'm sure they just decided not to pursue that.
Which actually sucks because I am interested to see what would have happened if like maybe fans liked this episode and maybe they continued on, like maybe there was more than just 8, maybe there was 7, 6, and like how many more experiments are there? You know what I mean? That's what I loved about it.
Well, there's
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say there is another timeline and other than this reality that we know that did happen.
Yeah. But like the whole idea of like season 2 kicked off and we learned that there is another experiment out there.
Yeah, and that was really cool. I think it's just like for a lot of people, it didn't pay off with that episode specifically.
Which, yeah, I kind of understand. It's not I don't know if I have a least favorite episode, which is weird. I mean, it's not my favorite episode, but also I like the ideas that they had in that season. I like the idea of them training 11 on how to really focus on her powers, which actually did come into play at the end of season 2, where she had to focus on one small object to close up the upside down.
Yeah. I just think that there was probably a different way they could have gone about it, where they didn't have to sideline every other character except for 11 and these new characters. if they could have had like maybe her friends go with her, I don't know, maybe that would have been more interesting, or cut back to the friends doing something else.
Well, I think that is the
Yeah.
episode there, because I think in the episode prior we don't see much of Elle. It's more about the other characters, and then this episode, the one episode, it's about Elle in Chicago, and that's all it's about. I kind of do admire that, because it is kind of like this is Elle's journey alone, and like we're kind of taking a break from the main story. But I think it also, if you don't like that main story, you're not gonna like the whole episode, because there's nothing else you're cutting back to that makes it maybe more enjoyable.
And during that episode too, there's a couple parts that reminded me of Home Alone 2 Lost in New York, when she's going around and seeing all these like seedy characters in Chicago, and they're like talking to themselves and being really scary. And I'm like, Jesus Christ. Like, where in Chicago is she? Like,
Chicago's a very dangerous city.
yeah, but like, I don't know. I feel like she found like the worst alleyway to walk down.
Well, because she's trying to find Kali,
Okay.
and Kali is a criminal, and she's kind of
Okay.
squatting in this building.
But do
I
criminals really just like sit there and talk to themselves and like, you know,
guess. Well,
I guess maybe some, but
it is a little, dramatic.
yeah.
All right, so since we're on season 2 talk already, let's get into actual season 2 spoilers for this one. I will say season 2 gave me one of my favorite new characters. I love Max. I think Max, played by Sadie Sink, is such a badass character. She reminds me of like the Bev of this team.
Yes.
Using the It references, she's someone who,
Because of the red hair.
I mean that too, but like working her way into the group, and then just becoming an actual member of the group, as time goes along. And then in like season 3, she becomes even more of a bigger role, which I'm super glad about. I love the character of Max. I love her nickname, Mad Max, which that's amazing. Her gamer tag in the arcade. I love the arcade scenes. I love them. The opening playing, was it Dragon Lair? Dragon's
Lair, I think it is. Yeah,
Dragon's Lair.
And then Dig Dug.
Yeah. And then Dustin find out that someone beat his record, and then it starts from there, man. I love the Ghostbuster scene where they're taking the photos, and Lucas is posing for all the photos, and his sister's just like, nerd. His sister, I love her character too.
We got a very small introduction to her in season 2.
Yes.
And it sets it up great, because you don't think she was going to maybe become a bigger role. You're just like, oh, that's Lucas's sister. But
yeah, exactly. And then they start to develop some of these characters. Like you said, the introduction of Max, I think, is amazing. I didn't love her until we got to season 4. I liked her, but I didn't start to love her until season 4. And then the same with her brother Billy, because he keeps saying we find out stepbrother. Anyways, Billy is one character that you do not like until season 3, and then they do something else. We'll get there, but that is another character I feel like that has a lot of growth. Same with Maxine. No one calls her that. And Erica, we'll see later as well. So a little bit of sprinkles of characters that we see develop later on. But in this season, we get a lot of really good introductions, as you've said.
Yeah, I will say that's one thing I actually love about Stranger Things as a whole, is that it's not just the main characters that they give stories to. Like, as the show goes along, you get stories with Mike's mom and Billy and things that happen. Which that is a weird storyline. We won't get there, but it doesn't feel like it's just centered on these 7 or 8 people. It feels like they expand the world out, and everybody in Hawkins has a story.
All of Hawkins, yeah.
And it's surprising because sometimes when shows try to expand out the characters, like different characters, it can fail because people just want to see, the main characters. But in Stranger Things, they found really a way to make it work because in each season, they introduce new characters in addition to the cast you already know and love. And I don't think it, except for Kali might be the exception. I think other than her, it has paid off every single time.
Yeah, and I love what they do also with something that I love what they do in shows is they'll take a dynamic that used to be true, and then as seasons progress, they will make the dynamics between characters different. They'll switch it a little bit. And then one of my favorite things about season 2 is the development of the relationship between Steve and Dustin, because that's one of the best things of the show, I think, going into season 3 and season 4. Is just their little fun relationship. And Steve
they have a
Dustin,
great brotherly relationship that I love.
Yeah.
Steve telling Dustin how to fix his hair with the Farrah Fawcett hairspray that he uses. He tells him exactly how to do it. And then you see that pay off at the end of the season. One of the best scenes that I just love so much is them going to this dance. It's so cute. You see people end up together and dance together. You even see the whole thing. This is another thing that pays off from season 1, where you get to see Dustin, and it's so sad because he's the weird little nerd that didn't have like any teeth and stuff like that. And then you get to see some people that have issues like that become like social outliers, and you see the effects of that with all the girls going like you wish and just walking away.
Wait,
then you get that great moment
because he tried to shoot a shot.
He's so confident. He's got his hair. Steve told him how to do the hair. He's like, Steve's a chick magnet. I'm going to
He's
be
like,
too.
I look like Steve. I can be Steve. Let's do it.
Yeah. He goes all confident as hell. Is like, shall we? No. But then you get the sweetest thing as he's like sitting there crying in the bleachers. Nancy comes up and offers her hand to dance. And then you're like, wait a second. He has such a huge crush on Nancy. He's always trying to talk to her. And then they dance together, and it's so sweet. And then she tells him that girls this age are stupid, and they're gonna be like all over him. It's so adorable.
It's one of the best moments. I mean, it's like one of the best moments we get with Nancy, and we haven't really touched on her yet, her or Jonathan, a lot. And Steve, just all of the teenage kids, these first 2 seasons, they're the teenagers. They all have great storylines as well. Nancy's kind of trying to deal with, maybe becoming more popular as she's dating Steve, and like, how to treat this new relationship. She hasn't really been in a relationship like this. But then she also starts developing feelings for Jonathan. I don't know. And then Steve kind of starts off as like, he's not the worst jerk in the school. I think his friends are depicted as way worse than him.
His friends are way worse.
His friends are way worse. You kind of get to see him like kind of stand. You see subtle hints that he's probably a better person than them, where he's like, they're maybe making fun of Jonathan. He's like, no, we don't need to do that. And like when he breaks Jonathan's camera, it's more about sticking up for Nancy or trying to stick up for Nancy.
As I said, I understand that. Maybe he shouldn't have broke the camera, but it is weird that Jonathan decided to take photos of someone in the woods with his camera.
Yeah, this second watch, I was sitting there like, yeah, okay. It's not as weird that they're like super pissed off that he was in the woods taking pictures of their party that he wasn't invited to. And then it is super sweet at the end, because I remember the only thing that I kind of latched on to was Nancy went with Steve. She belongs with Jonathan. It's ridiculous. But this time I'm like, after knowing what Steve becomes, or starts to get even more cool as it goes along in my mind. You see that like, oh well, Steve's the one that gave him the camera, because he's like, did you give it to him? Did he get it?
And then in season 2, Nancy kind of talks about how she Granted, she only waited a month, which is the issue. She kind of tried to wait a little bit for Jonathan before getting back together with Steve, but Jonathan, understandably had his own issues with his little brother, maybe wasn't thinking like, oh, I'm going to get together with Nancy right now. But it's cool in season 2 that Jonathan and Nancy do get together. Steve is kind of left out, but I think he'll be okay.
I will say, like, going back to season 1, I think I remember Steve being way worse on my first rewatch. And then as I watched it this last time, I'm like, he always had that nice guy quality to him. He didn't feel like an 80s jock like Billy does in season 2.
Yeah.
Where you can't find anything redeeming about Billy in season 2. Maybe in season 3 he has redemption, but in season 2 there's nothing you can see as his character can be.
I don't agree with that at all.
Oh, there is. You might not have gotten to it in your rewatch yet, Hunter, because there is a scene where you're kind of like, okay, maybe this is why Billy is the way he is.
I mean,
I remember. Did they get to this too? I think that's season 3.
No, his dad. No, because that's why he goes and looks for Max. I think it's in the last episode. His dad kind of like pushes him up against the wall.
You're right.
And
Okay.
Like, yeah. So you start to see they do.
Well,
so go ahead.
Oh no, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt.
That's
but
okay.
I want to say that even before that, like when you see the stuff with his dad, then you're like, oh, okay, yeah. Now I can see where Billy is kind of struggling to be that good guy, but he's got that emotional stuff with his dad and just the way he's been taught by his dad over years. And you get even more of that character development for Billy in season 3. But even before that with Billy, you get the scenes with him when they're playing sports or whatever, and like he's giving like Steve tips on how to like be better. It's kind of like in an asshole kind of way.
I don't think that was him giving him tips. I think that was just him like rubbing it in, like, oh, plate your feet next time, dumbass. Things like that. Where it's like, I'm gonna give you a tip, but I'm gonna like make it like a slighted where like I kind of insulted you a little bit.
It might be also for me going on to see like Billy later in the season, but also season 3. It might be me rewatching it like, oh no, there's niceness to Billy. It's kind of maybe the similar thing to Steve that you go, no, wait, Steve's not a bad guy. But if you just had season 1, Steve, you didn't have anything past that, then you might go like, oh, he's not the worst person, but he's kind of a shit.
I will say the difference is I never saw that type of aggression that Billy has in Steve in season 1. There was moments where it's like, oh, he's upset, and I understand why, and he does go a little too far when he breaks the camera for Steve, but they always make it up to Steve in the end, where whether it's his friends write Nancy the slut on the poster, and he at first he kind of accepted it because his friends are doing it, and then he sees how it made Nancy feel, and then he's like, you should have done that, and then you kind of see he's trying to be better than he is now. He's trying to be better than his friends. Billy in season 2 does a lot of stuff that is hard for me to be like, oh, he's a good guy, like mentally abusing Max, whether it's spewing hate towards her or not showing her any type of love, like only showing her hate in season 2.
Also, like trying to like run over her friends and driving
like running over the kids on the bike. He does stuff too that makes me feel more like he's not a good guy this season.
But I think that's the whole kind of thing is if that the dad, the family stuff, you see what his family's like after that, that kind of like is one thing that kind of gets to me because I've been in like kind of like a thing where like I don't have like the most, like a family that's always like, there for you and never kind of problematic and stuff like that. I kind of see where Billy comes from, like, maybe not in like an abuse kind of way, but you can see just how hard Billy has it with the toxic masculinity from his dad and just trying to like, make him basically his dad turned him into that guy, but you can kind of see Billy wanting not to be that guy.
I think, and I think season 2, he's not trying to be a good guy, right? But I think the thing that season 2 does at the very end is at least tries to show you a little bit of why Billy is the way he is. Yes. And he doesn't really get that full arc, though, until the next season in season 3.
So he becomes a little more sympathetic because of that, because then you can go, oh, it's not Billy's fault that he's like that. It doesn't excuse things he does.
Yeah.
But you
understand why.
You can see why parenting is so important, because you can make people like Billy the way they are.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely not saying that he doesn't grow, especially in season 3. Right. I think, but even then, like, I love him in season 3 because they don't just redeem him midway through the season. Like, they give you an arc where it's like in season 2, he's kind of an asshole, but you can see why. In season 3, the Mind Flayer, which I'm not going to get into full spoilers, we're going to talk about that, but he sees how weak Billy is as a prey. And then we go from there, which I love that development. But in season 2, even on my rewatch, it's hard for me to root for Billy the same way I rooted for Steve in season 1, even with, the dumb stuff he did. Because at least with Steve in season 1, I saw moments where he wanted to grow from it. Like,
I'm
to grow.
I mean, I'm still going to disagree with you because I just come from it from a different perspective, because since I've seen like where, Billy's parentage has come, a lot of the things that he does to me isn't just asshole behavior. It's a cry for help. And so that's where I kind of look at it like so. But it's interesting how we can kind of look at it from different perspectives. So
exactly. Going off of that, I believe this is the season where we also meet, was it Murray as well, right?
Yeah.
Who's
for
Murray?
A little bit.
The reporter.
The reporter.
The crazy one from the other guy.
The loon.
Yeah.
Yes, and also he becomes
a great character.
A bigger main character in season 3 as well. So I love how they're able to introduce us to new characters. There's like 3 or 4 new characters in the show, and it doesn't feel jarring. Well, it feels like they're just there.
We also forgot the best character of the entire show, Bob.
Bob. Yes.
Bob. We got Bob. Bob is like the best. He, for me, makes season 2 because it's like the only season he's in. Spoiler alert. The only season he's in. Are we doing spoilers? Yeah, I guess we've already been talking about it.
Yeah.
Bob is just like one of the best. And you feel it when he's gone and you see Joyce just sad without him.
Moment.
You feel that because you get to see her without him, and then you see flashbacks of her with him, and you see how he is with the kids, just telling Will the story of Mr. Baldo and just trying to make Will feel better and just trying to connect with Will and Jonathan. And then you get the moment of Joyce coming in, bringing him there, like, all right, you can't ask any questions, but I really need help figuring out what all this is. And he's like, what did you do to your house? Like, why are all these weird drawings? Wait a second, that's the lake over by the... It turns out he's a genius that works at Radio Shack.
Which is amazing.
Yeah. And he's amazing. He just loves to watch movies with them and hang out and do puzzles. And he's just so cute. I love Sean Astin and Bob.
Not gonna lie, I actually watched Rudy for the first time today. I just finished it today. Movie. Sean Astin, and then I watched, a little bit of season 2. So I get to see like 2 Sean Astin projects back to back. The dude is an amazing actor.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. He makes all the Lord of the Rings movies. He makes those movies just because of how he is as Sam. Like sometimes I'm sitting there like, why do we need Frodo again? Sam's the hero in these movies.
Because Sam's got to get Frodo there.
But okay, all right.
Sam is the emotional support.
But Sam can also like carry the ring and fight, and I don't know. Anyways, he's the best. I love, and he's also great in the Goonies as a kid.
Yeah.
Oh, he is. That's awesome.
He's the Goonie.
But yeah, I love Bob as a character, just because you can tell he's actually trying to be there for the kids without pushing the boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, he wants to take Will to school in the car, and we get that great scene with him and Will talking about, what is it, Mr. Baldo, and he's like, he's like, I told him to go away, and then the dream stopped, and then at the end of that episode, when he sees the mind flare, he says the exact same thing, go away. You know what I mean? But this time it just doesn't work.
Kind of the opposite.
Oh my god! A lot of that stuff with Will that you mentioned, like, you know, when the thing is like going, the smoke or whatever is going inside of him, is like, I'm like, oh my god, this is terrible. There's a scene where he's writhing on the ground, like, oh, and I'm like, this is the scariest shit I've ever seen in my life. So don't tell me Stranger Things isn't scary, because it's terrifying.
Well,
sometimes.
in all the scenes where you see, I think all the scenes. So it's at the very end of the season, but also Will sees it a couple times where you see the mind flare, and it's just like a flash, and it's yeah, it is so cool. That is terrifying.
Yeah.
Dude, it's probably one of the greatest one shot I've ever seen in a TV show, because it's Will outside the arcade, and then again you see when he wakes up in the middle of the night and goes outside, and you just look at the clouds, and all of a sudden lightning comes down, and you see how big the mind flare is, and you see how massive this thing is, way bigger than Demogorgon.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and it's just like scary just to see like Will all of a sudden being transported to these whatever the revisions, or he's just like kind of blinking into the upside down, and just like, guys, he doesn't know where his friends are. It's just terrifying. It's scary as hell.
Yeah, like I know at the end of season 1 that, you know, he's in the bathroom and you have to cut, and you're just like, what the fuck was that? And then the slug comes out of his mouth. You're like, oh my god, that is nasty.
And then the slug, doesn't the slug become the thing that Dustin takes care of? D'Artagnan. And then that's a thing in season 2 that happens, and that part I don't love super much, because it eats the cat, and that really makes me sad.
Yeah, fair. I will say, Dustin has one of my favorite lines, and it's because of his delivery, where it's like, "Don't you hurt him? I don't know if you hurt him."
Yeah, Dustin's amazing, and just the fact that like when they try to like surprise him, and he sprays Lucas in the face with hairspray or bug spray or whatever the hell it is, and he's just like screaming, and they're both screaming, and it's just a great moment.
The Farrah Fawcett spray, and it's the one that Steve gives.
That's it. Yeah. That's season 3?
Yeah.
Oh, I spoiled season 3. Sorry, I thought that was season 2.
Yeah, that's fine. I will say
that's true. Max is there. Never mind.
Yeah, I love how when Elle actually escapes Hopper's house, or she goes outside. I'm not gonna say escape like a prisoner, but she goes to the high school. I mean, kind of, but but
he keeps her there and sets up a bunch of traps and stuff. So I mean, she's kind of a prisoner, but
I mean, all this is to protect her. But yes,
true.
But when she goes to the Hawkins school and sees Max skateboarding around Will, and all of a sudden Max takes a tumble on that board.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
definitely an interesting dynamic.
yeah, which is kind of interesting that in season 2 we don't get a lot of scenes with the kids together,
Yeah,
and I actually like that because it gives Max a chance to feel like she's actually part of the group. I mean, if we had Elle with them, it would have felt like an off dynamic, but because we got Max introduced early on in the first episode, we follow her, and then she's actually a part of the group when Elle comes back. It feels like full circle,
yeah,
which I absolutely love.
yeah.
Ooh,
And then it's
excuse me.
like a cool part when Mike ends up like yelling at Hopper because he lied to him and stuff like that.
Oh
It's
yeah,
just like that whole
he's
kind of
hitting his chest.
thing where Hopper has to like kind of keep it a secret and stuff like that to protect her and yeah,
Oh,
it's
that scene when there we go. But that
that
scene
scene,
where
man.
yeah, where Elle escapes and she comes back, and the fight that Hopper and Elle have, where it ends up literally just glass being exploded, the house being
Yeah,
ruined. I'm like, God, that scene was hard to watch because I love both of those characters.
yeah,
Yeah. And you understand where
You
they're
call
both
Elle a
coming from.
brat?
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
And you can see like, yeah, Eleven's like emotions kind of affecting like her powers. Like she uses her powers kind of irresponsibly in like a fight, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So
Kerri, I'm sorry. As your turn.
Oh yeah, you see where they're both coming from, right? Because Elle's been like imprisoned all of her life, and she doesn't want. She wants to, be able to have this little taste of freedom that she had and hang out with her friends and maybe start to actually live some sort of life. And instead, she's stuck in, basically a prison once again. We understand where Hopper's coming from, where he's already lost a daughter, and that's why he's so even already Elle needs a lot of protection to make sure that she's not in danger from, the government and stuff. But he's kind of, you see that he's overprotective, and a lot of it's because he's already lost a child and he doesn't want to lose this other girl who he now sees as his daughter.
Yeah.
very good point. Yeah,
Um.
very good point. I like that.
Yeah. Is there any other characters that we should bring up, or any other moment you guys want to bring up?
New characters.
I feel like we covered all the characters,
Yeah.
but I'm sorry if we're missing anyone.
No, it's really just them like, different dynamics. Like we've covered Steve and Dustin, Max and the rest of the gang, Nancy
Not
and
gonna lie,
Jonathan.
Steve saving the kids with the baseball bats and against the demo dogs.
The
Amazing.
spiked baseball bat. Yeah.
Spiked baseball bat. Yeah, he looks so badass with that thing.
He's so badass. Like you
Yeah.
can see he's willing to put himself in danger and fight and just, he's such a good character.
Yeah, and also
Yeah, and
in season 2, that's where again we meet Murray, and I know Nancy and Jonathan go on their little side adventure about kind of trying to expose the Hawkins lab for the different things they had as well. That's kind of the moment where I was like, I don't know if I need this, but that was probably the one where instead of like the problems that everyone else has with Elle going off herself, I kind of have this problem where like I didn't need to rehash the Hawkins conspiracy once again that we had last season. I feel like with Elle going off on herself, it gave me a good, not only like change of scenery, but it also gave me Elle learning to control her powers even more. This didn't really give me anything that I needed that I didn't already know, I should say.
I thought it was good to kind of tie out Nancy's story arc for the season, where she's kind of really worried about Barbara's parents.
Justice for Barb, who we haven't even brought up. Barb, I don't think.
I know, yeah, we didn't really bring up Barb. But yeah, I do think that's like a good way to close out, that storyline where she, was having dinner with the parents, and the parents are like, oh, we're going to sell our house because we're trying to find out where Barb is, and she feels so guilty, which is totally understandable. I do kind of understand that maybe that part dragged. Like, I didn't maybe need all the scenes where because it turns into a mechanism, right, for her and Jonathan to wind up getting together.
Yeah, and they sleep together.
Yeah, I kind of agree that I kind of checked after they kind of figured out the solution to like Nancy's kind of story arc problem about Barb. I kind of was like, okay, do we really need more than that? But I do get they wanted to get away from Nancy and Jonathan to get together.
Yeah. I will say though, I love the character of Murray. I think that actor does a really great job of portraying like this kind of like out of control, like freaky character.
Yeah. I didn't really super care for Murray in season 2, but like I really started to like him in season 3 when he connects with another new character that we'll get to when we talk about season 3. But yeah, Murray, he has a really good introduction in season 2, and I think without that scene with him, Jonathan and Nancy, he just would have been the crazy guy at the very beginning. But I guess this is another way where we get to like, don't we see them go to like his weird cave house thing with the camera and
yeah.
I believe that is it for everything that I can think of.
Well, I mean, other than just adding like the fact that I really like the whole please let this be this season. They sometimes they bleed together at certain moments. But like Will's return and him trying to fit in with the group again and getting really mad that nobody wants to do D&D with him anymore.
Yeah.
And because like girlfriends, or is that season 3?
What?
That might be season 3.
That's season 3.
Never mind.
Yeah, that might be season 3. Because when you said girlfriends, I was like, I'm pretty sure that's season 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Will's mostly concerned this season with like just trying to stay like in their dimension.
That's right.
Dude.
That's right.
We have to bring up the intense, scary ass exorcism scene in this season, season 2.
Yeah.
It felt like like the greatest like exorcism movie since The Exorcist. You just have like it was in this dark like little shed. You could see like Will just like squirming and trying to get the mind flare out of his body and sweating, and just it was so fucking intense for like 10 minutes. It just kept going.
Yeah. A lot of the stuff with Will in the Upside Down is very, very scary. Like, I've acted out some of the scenes earlier. It's just so, yeah.
I think that's pretty much it for season 1 and season 2. I cannot wait to talk about season 3 and season 4 next week because I have not seen season 4 yet. So I'm super excited to give my first thoughts on it.
It's going to take you a minute to watch it because it's kind of long, but if you have to delay another week, we understand.
I should be able to finish most of because I think season 4 is going to be cut into two parts, right?
The first part's still very long, though.
Yeah, the first part is the first 7 episodes, and each episode is like at least an hour.
But we watched it. We binged it in a weekend.
We did binge it in a weekend, yeah.
Okay. So, yeah. I should be able to do it next week. I guess I can go ahead and announce what our slate's going to be because I think we did talk about what we're doing after Stranger Things, which I'm super excited to talk about, which is Midnight Mass. I am almost done. I have like maybe 2 or 3 episodes left. I'm loving the season. I'm loving the series so far. So yeah, after we finish our Stranger Things talk, we will go into Midnight Mass, and then I want to hit the Fear Street trilogy right after that. Like conclude our Netflix kind of horror talk.
And Fear Street Trilogy is just a great summer watch. So I think summer is the perfect time. Yeah.
The one thing I'm looking forward to is seeing how we differ on what our favorite part of the trilogy were. Like 94, 86, or 1666.
Yeah,
Or,
for sure.
It's 84. It's 94, 84, and then 1666. I could be wrong there.
I don't know.
I don't remember.
It's a combo of 90s, 80s, and 1600s. Let's say that.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. So let's go ahead and do our closing. Chad and Kerri, where can people find you?
Here, I think. Oh God, I don't know where else. Just here for right this second.
All right. Well, yeah, you can find me on mostly but also the Dill Pickle Movie Network, where we do Picture This. It's a show where we do Oscar stuff. We, do each month we do a year of the Oscars. We talk the best pictures, the nominees, the winners, the year itself, other films from the year. We talk actors and actors from the year. We talk about the films. We rank the films. We have a lot of fun doing that. This month we're doing 1977 in honor of like blockbusters. We're doing Star Wars. So very excited about that. I also do a lot of trivia around the sphere. Movie Battlegrounds is something that I really am passionate about. I love debating movies. I'm just having a lot of fun over there. A match just dropped with me debating Alan Shepard, which was a lot of fun. He's a very, very chill guy, so that was a really good time. I also have my own channel. We're starting things up. We're starting to try to make more videos. It was very slow going. We did Edgar Wright rankings. We do rankings. We did Edgar Wright. We did Harry Potter. We did a Christmas tier ranking. And then we're doing now going through the MCU. We did phase 1. We just did phase 2. I got to upload that episode soon. And then we're going to do phase 3. We're thinking about doing Denis Villeneuve and Star Wars coming up soon. So very excited to do all those rankings.
It's going to have a lot of controversy around it.
Probably.
Yeah.
But it's basically my name, Chadwick Webb, on the YouTubes. So check that out. A lot of fun. And thanks as always, Hunter. This was a fun discussion. I love Stranger Things.
I do too. And also, guys, I just uploaded the new episode of Sunday Super Show, which has our co-host Kerri Webb taking on Anthony Tisdall in a number 1 contenders match. So that match is up on the channel right now. It just came out about an hour ago, right before we hit here. So check out that. We also have in the singles division, Jeremy Adams taking on John Marr, debuting John Marr for the singles division. Very, very great matchup. So, guys, check that out. If you did enjoy this, hit the like button, subscribe to the Nerd Entertainment Network down below. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you guys soon. Peace.